But Jimmy's before we start. 2025 is literally just around the corner, only a few days away. And you've probably already seen people saying 2025 is my year. You know, you've probably seen these lists, probably seen the videos already. And you see people talking about what they're going to do, what they're going to achieve, and things like that. And I think that's great, and I think that's awesome. However, are they actually going to do those things? Because we have to be realistic when it comes to setting goals, changing ourselves, and changing our lives. So I've compiled a little bit of a list that I think will actually help you out quite a lot going into the new year. You don't have to follow all of these. You don't have to listen to any of them if you don't want to. That's absolutely fine. However, I think they are different, and I think they actually have the potential to improve your year going forward without having too much of an impact on your day-to-day lives right now. Because I believe it's all about implementing things into your current life, rather than chopping things out and pushing things away and just replacing them. So let's get into it. So the first thing, and I think this is the thing you hear the most often. However, I'm going to tell you a little different. Stop setting goals. I don't want you to set any goals for the next year. I don't want you to do any of that. What I want you to do is I just want you to try new things. Because the things that you actually like are the things you're actually going to stick with. Because maybe your goal is to start the gym, but the thought of starting the gym either terrifies you or just makes you feel absolutely disgusted. That's absolutely fair. It's not for everybody. However, you've always been interested in a sport, let's say basketball or badminton. So why not try those things instead? Because the chances are, if you want to start the gym, if you haven't done so before, it's purely for health reasons. And if it's just for health reasons, you don't want to become a bodybuilder and stand on the stage, then playing a sport a couple times a week will do you the same thing. Literally, it will do the same thing, if not better, especially if you actually enjoy that thing. Because another way to look at it is also, let's say there's a series on Netflix. You switch it on, you get through the first episode, and you think, oh yeah, this is all right. So you kind of give the second one a try. And about halfway through, like, actually, I'm bored now, I can't be bothered anymore. It's the same thing with starting the gym. If you're not really passionate about it, if you're not really into it, there's a chance you're going to quit. But if you start some form of physical activity that you generally like and enjoy, there's a very high chance you're actually going to stick with it and actually reach your fitness goals for the year. So, point number 2, and that is to embrace change. Stop living in your old ways, being scared to let go, move on, try something new, do something differently. Just embrace change, because you never know when you're actually going to need it or want it, especially if your situation is just good enough. I spoke about this in one of my previous videos actually, where if the house you're living in is, all right, there's a little bit of mold there, the neighbors are okay, they're only sometimes noisy, and there's a few things that would be nice if they changed, but they aren't crucial and they don't really affect your life all that much, there's a chance you're going to just leave them and not change them. Whereas in your heart and in your mind, you know that changing these things and working on these things, whether that's repairing some things, whether that's moving, whether that's changing things about, is needed, but you don't do it anyway because things are just good enough. So embrace change, make different things happen. And I know certain things are quite big, you can't just do them straight away. That's fine. Start working towards them then. Recognize that that change is going to be needed at some point. So stop putting it off because you know you need it. The next point I think is very, very important, and it's just to be grateful with what we have. And I know that's a little bit contradictory to the previous point that I just said, but that's only if the change is actually required. Sometimes it isn't, we just think it is. But sometimes the things that we constantly think about that we need or want are literally right in front of us. We don't need any more, we just think that we do. And the fact that we get to wake up in a bed with a roof over our head, we get to go downstairs and make ourselves breakfast, that alone, we're pretty lucky for that. Some people don't have that, and I understand that's quite a drastic thing to compare it to. But if you want to go beyond that, let's say your car. Some people won't even dream of ever buying a car. Oh no, you have to wait 30 minutes in a queue to go buy something that costs hundreds. Poor you. Some people have to wait hours to just get served food or gather water. And then that's a bit of a deep point, but I wanted to drive it home because sometimes we just need to be grateful for the things that we have right now. Next point, a bit of a lighter one, this one, and it's to learn to say no. Learn to say no to others. Stop being such a people pleaser, because the chances are when you win, all of you win, but when you lose, you take that loss alone. That's what tends to happen, because you've not learned how to say no to other people. Stop putting other people above you. Stop putting the happiness above you. Stop putting the well-being above you. Say no to them and say yes to yourself. Just learn to say no. Trust me, people are not gonna hate you. Well, some might because they're just spoiled. But that's a good thing, because that means they don't deserve to be in your life. But if you tell certain people no, all right, cool, no worries, we'll meet up next week. Sound, no problem, we'll sort that another day. That's gonna be a response you're gonna get. So stop being scared to say no. Just say it. Say it more often. Trust me, it will do you a lot of good. Next point, and that is to welcome solitude. Truth be told, you're gonna spend a lot of time alone. There are gonna be a lot of moments where it's gonna be just you and your thoughts, just you and your mind, doing whatever. And we need to just let that be. Let it be. Just be alone. Embrace being alone, doing things alone, going places on your own. It's not a bad thing. If anything, it's actually quite empowering, because I think a lot of people require others in order to do things. But if you want to go and watch a film and it's only at the cinema, it's not difficult to drive to the cinema and just go on your own. It might not look very social, but what does it matter what it looks like? You go in there for one reason only. You're going to watch that film that you're wanting to see. You're not going there to socialize. You're not going there to impress anybody. You're going there for one reason only, and that is to watch that film. So what does it matter what it looks like? Think of it just like going on a little solo date. Nothing wrong with that. And if you don't want to think of it that way, then you're just going to the cinema. Nothing else to it, right? Stop putting so much emphasis on having to do things with other people. It's absolutely fine to do things on your own. So, next on the list, and that is to learn to learn. What do I mean by that? Basically, stop being fucking stubborn and just shut your mouth, open your ears, and allow information to flow in. Because sometimes you don't know best. I know that I sometimes don't know best. So whenever I feel that way, I shut up and I let the other person talk to me, explain things to me, show things to me, and I take it on board. So the next time, I will know better. But the whole idea is just to accept that you're not right all the time, because you're not. That's just a reality. No one is the all-seeing omniscient that can just foresee and understand everything. Absolutely not. So sometimes just shutting up and listening is the best course of action. I can guarantee you that. And you'd be surprised at how much you can learn from people when you actually stop and just listen. And a final point, and I think this one gets overlooked quite a lot, but it's to help others. Just sit there and lend them your ear, listen to their problems. Go and be present. Go and meet them for a coffee. Go for a chat with them. Whatever it is, go and be present. Give them a lift somewhere, because maybe they need one. I'm not saying just do things all the time for other people. Absolutely not, because that will kind of clash with the point I've said earlier of learning to say no. But I never said to be a people pleaser. I said to help others. These others, well, that's your choice to make who you help. But just be vigilant. And remember that when they start asking for a little bit too much and you never say anything in return, that is when you're going to start saying no. Because that's when it no longer benefits you either. And I'm not saying things are transactional. Absolutely not, because that's just not how life should be. However, like I mentioned before, we can't put everything and everyone else above ourselves. And sometimes you don't know what kind of connection you might create from helping somebody. You don't know what kind of friendship you might create. You don't know what door you might open. You really don't know. So help. Don't overdo it, but assist others around you. Trust me, you learn a lot from helping other people. And I also have a bit of a bonus one, a little one. It's not really much of a point, but it's just to have fun with it, you know, because what is the point in doing anything if it makes you feel miserable? Don't set goals that you just hate, because you're not going to stick to them. Stop setting yourself New Year's resolutions if you have to wait to start them, because I feel like you already lost the battle. If you have to wait to do something, you clearly don't want to do it enough. I'm not saying with everything, because obviously certain things you might need to sign up to lessons, whatever, you might actually generally have to wait. But certain things you can do straight away. You can implement them today. And if you choose not to, well, do you actually want to do them then? So just do things that you find fun. Do things you enjoy. There's no point in doing things that make you miserable. Obviously, there are certain things that we just have to do, whether they make us miserable or not. Sometimes that might be our jobs. Sometimes that might be dealing with certain family members. Sometimes that might be having to do certain chores. It is what it is. We just have to get on with it. But whenever we have the choice to do something that makes us miserable or not, well, I know I'm going to choose the things that won't make me miserable and something I'm generally going to like doing. Because the more things that I do that I like, the happier I am. And the easier it is to stick to the things that I set myself to. It is easier to reach the goals I actually do set for myself. So I hope you enjoyed my little list. And I hope it makes you think a little bit differently, as well as approach your New Year's resolutions a little different. And of course, it helps you out. And of course, it assists you along your journey next year. So I hope you have a great year. Now it's time to get to work. Time to make these changes happen. And I'll see you again next week, as always. Thank you. Bye-bye.